The only Bill Buchan.
What's that for? This is Scotland. It's actually it.
What's another? I don't wonder, I think it's good. Whew, look at this for that.
IBM really didn't like that as walk-on music.
Can't think why.
Bottom middle. Okay, so this is a format I developed in a previous career as an IT consultant, because I used to go to these big conferences full of lots and lots of very, very smart people who couldn't talk publicly to save their bloody lives and did amazingly good technical in-depth things that literally bored you to tears. And I said, I can do better than that. And somebody said, well, all these bar stories you've been telling us about all these disasters that you come across, you should put that in a presentation. I thought, oh, that's a great idea. So a friend of mine and me did this for 5 or 10 years in the IBM circuit. And after a few years, I thought, well, we can do this on the WISP circuit, because one thing that Medicart.com does that we do very, very well is we break things so other people don't have to. Okay, so anyone who kind of knows me. I've been running a WISP since 2013. It was actually a drunken bet. Could I make the porn move? Well, we won. We're going to underline some best practices by showing you some really bad ones, okay? So, you know, not all of them were committed by us, right? So, during Storm Malik, it got very, very, very windy. It's our 3rd or 4th named storm over the sort of Christmas period. It was just horrific. And we have 110 transmission sites. We've got 5 or 6 of them that are very, very large transmission sites. And one of them went offline around about 9 o'clock in the morning. We thought, that's very strange. So we tried the site next to it, it was fine, but it couldn't see any antennas, all that sort of stuff. We thought, oh shit, the power's been cut, blah, blah, the power's fine, radio's been cut, no, the radio's fine. This is strange. So I drove up there, and what did I see?
Shall we get Sky TV?
I'll give you a hint. It should be standing up. Yeah? That's a 2-ton container with 12 antenna on it that have been blown over. Yeah?
Wow.
What I like about that is the LHG that's flat on its face
Yeah.
is mine. It was smashed to bits, and the PCB was still in one piece, and we booted it up and managed to pull the config off it and flash it onto another one.
Yeah. LGs are tough. So a little more depth perception. That's a SEA up there. Let's see if I can do this. That's a SEA. That's a SEA. That's 12 grams worth. There's a SICLU in there somewhere, and we've got various other bits and pieces. But what got damaged was the LHG and a couple of the cameras. And that's all. I mean, we got very, very lucky. If it fallen in any of these other 3 pieces, we'd be talking about tens of thousands of quid worth of damage. And over here, you can see 2 things going into the container. One was the electricity, and one was the fibre line. And if either had broken, that would cost us a long time. But again, we got lucky. We got very, very lucky. We had to quickly mount stuff somewhere else. That's a 2-meter SEA microwave dish we mounted. This is a farm area called a silage pit, and it's as enchanting as you can possibly imagine. It's literally full of shit some days, and that's a huge concrete I-beam, iron I-beam and concrete. That's a 2-meter dish, and that was it going up. We had to feed the guys while they were on set, so we had a picnic. That was really good, and that was a container once it had been uprighted. As you can see, there's all the switch gear here. And the container was full of 8 or 9 2-meter scaffold poles. So as it got righted, they got slammed against one of the walls. And thankfully, not one of them hit this. I mean, talk about lucky, right? What went wrong? Well, we hadn't calculated wind loading properly. Now, in fairness, a nearby weather station recorded a wind speed of 104 knots. Yeah? So that's a bit above spec. Well, basically, it got blown over. The farmer, being very agricultural, actually came up at 8 o'clock the next morning with 2 1-ton concrete pillars, which we then put on I-beams through the forklift holes. So it now weighs 4 tons. So it's not going to fall over again. It might collapse, but it's not going to fall over again. It'll sing. No, it's a granite hill. And that's the remains of the scaffolding that we put in. The previous one shows the new scaffolding in place. And you try getting 4 20-foot scaffold poles delivered to the top of a hill in the middle of a storm on a Saturday afternoon. Your local scrapyard is a wonderful place, especially if they take folding money. It's very grabbable. So that entire episode cost us about 36 hours of downtime for 300 people.
Wow.
I'm waiting for Rob to shout something out.
How much did it cost?
Good question. Probably 6 man days, plus 500 quid in damaged equipment, and 300 quid in scaffold poles. So yeah, it was expensive. All down to wind loading. So, work out your wind loadings properly. Don't be this, okay? Yeah? So far so good? Any questions? We've all been there. We've got sites, and over time the sets get bigger and bigger and bigger. We keep adding more and more things. And guess what? Come winter, come the usual power cuts, our Victron, very, very expensive power inverter system just failed. It didn't work at all. So we did a quick audit. Guess what we did? We overloaded the inverter. We're running 550 watts to a 400 watt inverter, and it went, I'm not playing anymore. So yeah, who's all done that? Yeah, we've all done it. Basically, keep an eye on your loadings as you go along. Yeah, don't do this, don't overload it. Anyone ever seen a rusty customer router inside their house? We hadn't. We thought that's strange. Your router's rusty? What? Oh, we've got some very, very strange customers, don't get me wrong, but rusty? Have you ever been in a house that's so strong in terms of cannabis smell, you've actually got to sort of force them to open the windows? Yeah. But rusty, that was odd. We got to the site and discovered, yes, the RG45 socket, the antenna cable plugged in, was indeed rusty. Guess why?
Water ingress.
Water ingress, yeah. It's very early on, we didn't figure out what the hell we're doing. Tough cable rubbed against, a small hole opened, and literally sucked the water. It was hilarious. When we chopped the end off, water literally pissed out at the end. I wish we'd got a video of that. So yeah, always stick in a drain loop, you know, secure your cables, okay? Oh yeah. Oh my. Ooh. Okay, so yeah, who's here has seen this, yeah? We've all seen this, right? Everyone's committed this. Always secure the outdoor cable, always split the drain loop. Everyone's seen this one as well. Customer phones up. Service intermittent, then switches off. We drove through rain. What did we find? An upside down nano station. Because guess what? UV-proof cable ties, not used. Yeah? And again, this is something we've all done, we've all learned from, but don't do it again, you know, it's an easy thing to do. There is a shop called cableties.rs.co.uk, and you can buy them 1,000 at a time, and they're lovely. But yeah, we've had this about 6 times on about 1,200 devices in 8 years, so everyone does it. Always use UV-proof cable ties. Try and mount the correct way up, because we once mounted a nano beam upside down, and well, the drain hole quickly becomes a filler hole. So yeah, watch out for that one. I thought it was being very smart. Last big story, more cheese vicar. So one of our main ingress points is at Montrose Docks, which is lovely, especially at midnight on a Saturday night as the drunk sailors are wandering around and pointing at you, wondering how much you cost. 2 separate fibre lease lines coming in. And one day, one day, it was a Monday or something, within about 5 minutes, one lease line flicked out, we failed over the other one flicked out, we thought, oh shit. So we get on there, check the power's fine, advars are fine, network, oh. Does that look like teeth marks to you? Yeah, a mouse had gotten into the ducting and eaten the cables because BT didn't install the fibre cables in Copex on an outdoor install. So always put fibre in Armour or Copex. Copex is the hard metal flexible ducting, yeah? Costs about £1 a metre at your local hardware shop. But yeah, that's 7 hours downtime for God knows how many people. It took OpenReach 4 hours to get a splicer. So anyone here from GoFibre? No, I'm kidding. GoFibre are Mini Kirk's partners, so yeah, I'm allowed to make a joke. So always put fibre on armour chief or Copex. Okay, always, always, always. Oh, it's a pain in the arse. Oh, we can't do this. Oh, we don't have it with us. Tough. You don't want this, right? Nobody wants this. Okay. So far, so good. Any questions?
How much did that cost?
8 hours downtime for 700 people. That was not good. That was not a good day. We've got other shorties, which are like single pagers, so you're going to get the gag. Engineer up a very, very, very tall ladder. His mobile phone went off. He got distracted, turned round and walked away. Air ambulance, lucky to be alive. Moral, focus on the job. Wear a harness. Don't let this idiot up a ladder again. This wasn't one of ours, I hasten to add. But yeah.
Well, I told you I nearly did this in a cherry picker once. I was doing a survey about 15 metres up in the air and thought, right, okay, that's it done. And I opened the door and went to go and step out of the basket. And then went, no, wait, hold on, that's a bad idea.
Oh God. Once I was in a cherry picker and my wife and one of my friends decided to disable the control panel at the top, and they played with the control panel at the bottom and put me between two very, very tall trees. And if you look up YouTube and look up cherry picker madness, you can hear me screaming like a small child. So yeah, cherry pickers, great fun. Don't drill through a gas meter. Okay?
This is actually
Just
interesting.
don't. Fire engines, screaming, running. It's like Jurassic Park with fire. So always know what you're drilling through and to. That really helps. One of our engineers, a tree hit his van. He was doing 40 miles an hour, bounced off the top, ripped the roof rails off. The police came along and said, buy a lottery ticket. This is the luckiest thing he's ever seen. But yeah, so be aware of your surroundings and don't insult small Irish leprechauns, sorry, fellas. That sounded a lot funnier when I wrote it, it's not. But yeah, underpants replacement, that was the big one there. This one is off the alternate chat. The developer said to BT, can you move the pole? BT, no, it's going to cost you some money. They went, oops, wrong way. What I love about this one is they actually rerouted the cable. I'm not buying that. I keep telling my engineers and they keep forgetting, but basically I say to them, before you put a foot in a ladder, work out what you're going to do at the top, what tools you need, what equipment you need, because it's a pain in the arse having you come back down off the ladder and possibly driving for 8 hours and picking up a tool and coming back again. It's especially painful if you've got what can only be described as a 50-metre tall tower, and that's the view of the car from the top. So yeah, just plan in advance.
I wish you told me this one in advance, because when I was doing a job for you, I've lost a knife on the roof of the grain silos at Montrose Docks.
Yeah, a knife.
I think it's probably still there.
When it blows off, it's going to really upset somebody.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Why does that picture of the van look like a missile targeting system?
There's a great iPhone app that gives you that overlay, and it's really good for remote, surveys and things. It'll tell you the direction, tilt, and all that sort of stuff. And I think it's called thalidomide, not thalidomide, but thalidomide. Try some different first. But a really good app if you know what I'm talking about. Okay, this is kind of self-explanatory. Can anyone see the problem here? There's a hint. That's a hole, and there's half a ton of fibre down there. Yeah?
Bill,
What?
that's actually a manhole, that's not just a normal chamber.
Oh, good. Excellent. Hilarious. So that was an alternate. Basically, it's round, it will roll, prepare yourself for that, yeah? It's amazing how things happen due to physics. I don't know why it's a surprise. This is another alternate one. I love the strain cable that they mounted this cabinet with. That was really good. Can anyone tell me what went wrong here?
Gravity.
The back plate is actually mounted upside down. You see the screw holes? And that's why it just dropped out. And they didn't even bolt everything in. I mean, how lazy can you get? I mean, I've seen some shonky installs that we've done, and that's much the same. Yeah. Watch the minimum bend radius. Check your slices. If in doubt, use a light pen and look for the red. I mean, does everyone here understand what we're talking about here when you're looking for faults in fibre? You get a light pen, it's a very, very strong laser light, and I don't know if you can see that there's kind of red there. That's because it's too sharp a bend and the light is leaking out of the fibre. And that's why that splice there is red and the splice next to it isn't. Yeah? So light pens to the rescue. It's like fibre splicing 101, really. Go fibre. So measure twice, splice once, you know. The last three are really just general purpose tips, and I just find them useful. They're less funny, I know, I'm sorry, but always get a generator with a runtime indicator, okay? That works out on the current load and the current fuel load how much data you've got before it runs out of fuel. An adult spinning a ring is like a child losing a load. So these are the champion ones, nice yellow ones. They're portable, and they tell you how long they're going to run. Now, if you've got power out for 7 days, that's really important because you can then schedule rest breaks in between top-ups. Yeah. So, I mean, that has saved us so much pain. You would believe. You would believe. Oh yeah. You've heard of these Apple AirTags? Stick them on the jennies. At the end of Storm Malik, we were one generator down. We said to the guys, "Where's the red generator?" "Oh, I don't know." "Okay." Thanks. Yeah, we're running around like headless chickens, and obviously some of our friends call up, "Oh, can we get a Jenny because Mum's pacemaker needs charging or something like that." I don't know. But yeah, we forgot we placed one. That's 300 quid down. So stick these ear tags on them. This is not for me, I hasten on, but basically, if you get caught short at the top of a church, try and make sure the drains work and the roof drains have gutters, and if they don't, make sure your van isn't underneath them. Yeah. And if you're climbing a spiral staircase, only climb it one at a time, because if you drop anything, it will follow the next person. Yeah. And the rickety old buildings always spend an extra couple of minutes checking to see where the hidden pigeons are, because they will fly out and they will scare the crap out of you. Yeah. Just like the spider's nest in the nano stations. It always makes one of our engineers jump, which is unfortunate if he's up a ladder, right? Yeah. So watch out for that. Bees, wasps' nests, the whole 9 yards. My last one is a government minister who is crowing about how well his government was doing broadband rollout to a national news outlet from home when his home broadband failed. So, isn't that a shame? Righty-ho. Any questions? Any stories?
How much did it cost?
You guys are supposed to do that at the end of each
I'll give you one on the pigeon thing.
Oh yeah.
When I was about 16, I started an apprenticeship with Sky.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm going to get free Sky TV as much as I want, so in my house I'll have it in my bedroom. I will give it to my parents for their bedroom. I'll have it in the living room. And I'm going to run all the cables nice and neat up through the loft. And a pigeon did exactly that, flew out with me. I took a step back, went through the ceiling, and landed on the bed.
Nice.
My dad went mental and then caught himself out because his dad, my granddad, was like, "Why the fuck are you going mental? You did that as well."
I just want to call you out on that. Sky engineer running cabling neatly.
Hey, some of us were good.
One of them were good.
Yeah.
It's always great going along to the WISP install. They say, "Can you tidy up the Sky cables while you're there?" Or something. No. So feel free to email me any other stories you have. If it turned out an annual thing with funnier stories, so be it. But basically, I'm trying to apply a bit of thought before doing anything, and then it won't be headlines next year. Okay.
I think thank you very much for that, Bill. One of the lessons I learned from this is I've encountered, I think, pretty much all of the things you described, plus a few more. Customers extending their own Ethernet cables.
Oh yeah.
And using Lego bricks to join together the connectors. People moving a router and saying, "I've not moved it, it's just stopped working." And then when you get to the router, it's got a telephone cable plugged into it, somehow jammed in where the Ethernet cable is supposed to go. All those kind of things.
Yeah.
people trimming their roses on the outside of their house with some shears. Please, can you fix it before my husband gets home? That kind of stuff. So what I've learned is to take more photographs, because all these different incidents, they're actually pretty good when you get back, and they do help teach a lesson, and they're great, I think, for new guys coming on board and learning the trade. There's a lot of stuff which is really serious in relation to safety. I've pulled people off site for turning up, smelling a drink with no laces in their trainers and then running up ladders with no safety gear, and you just can't afford to do it. Somebody else demanding danger money before they'll go up a tower. So if you think you need danger money, then you're not following any health and safety processes to be safe. So stuff like that as well, and taking pictures. Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to say on the taking pictures thing.
Yeah.
If our good friend Alex from Splinks here is looking for a feature request, scheduling mobile app could have a feature built in for taking pictures that then get tagged to the customer's account in CRM, and then you could go back later and look at them.
It's already there.
It's already in the mobile app. Oh, okay.
Come on, get with the program.
The second thing was going to be the gas meter story. Was one that I told to Bill. It was when I was on a Sky install, 2-man team. I was up the ladder doing the dish, and the other colleague was drilling from inside the house out. And when you get to know the noise that a drill makes as it's a way to burst through the wall, and it did that, and then it just started making this tinging noise as it was hitting the back of the gas meter. I don't think I've ever been so scared as I was harnessed to a ladder directly above a gas meter that's actively being drilled into. Luckily, it went clean through the centre of it and out the other side with a masonry bit, and didn't light it. It didn't ignite it.
Well, the worst one that we had, sorry, I'm getting on another anecdote now, was somebody had decided to install a chimney mount installation using quite large bolts rather than a chimney brace. And we were called out by a very distressed person. And when we arrived, there was most of the chimney on the floor immediately in front of their front door of their house. And then when you looked up, there was this trail of broken tiles from where the chimney used to be. We didn't do the install, but it was a good lesson in why you shouldn't drill into chimneys, because you have no idea how good the mortar is or the cement or how much of it is left. And it wasn't even a particularly windy day, but that was a Sky dish.
I've got an idea. Shouldn't you just give people an IQ test before you give them a health and safety instruction?
Well, no.
You'd weed out a little bit along the way, wouldn't you?
If you've got good health and safety, they don't need to be smart, they just need to...
The problem is the size of the industry would shrink to an unsustainable level.
Honestly, the IQ is quite low. If we were smart, we wouldn't be doing this, honestly. I did this as a drunken death. Okay, so,
Or you get out of shit up ladders.
On the subject of drilling into things, we've gone through a central heating pipe as well, which was glued to the underside of the floorboard. Ironically, while helping another WISP set themselves up, we drilled through the floorboard, and it stopped. So my erstwhile very tall colleague broke out a hammer and hammered the drill bit into the obstruction. Until such point as the central heating liquid started hissing out.
okay, last story. When I was like 19, I got married. 20, bought a flat in Edinburgh. And the flat in Edinburgh is just across Princess Street, the outside of Princess Street. We bought a 1,000 square foot new town flat for 21,000 quid. That's how old I am. And we had a friend's dad come around and install a burglar alarm. Now this is a flat accessed by 19 steps down from the road. Okay, this is a sub-basement flat. And it had what we thought was a concrete floor. So he went into our living room, cut a hole in the floorboards, expecting to see 3 inches of dirt or whatever. Put his ladder down and let go, and the ladder fell for a few seconds. We realised we had another flat beneath our one. Then the difficulty was that the central piece of our flat was a huge oak beam that you could literally shine a light through, and 2 weeks previously with like 500 people in the flat bouncing up and down at a party. And literally the whole flat could have fallen a story, down. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Bill. That's been very good.